Take a slow, deep breath and let the world outside fade away. Tonight, you are no longer bound by walls or time. Tonight, your journey takes you to a place where silence holds great power, where stone remembers, and the wind carries the voices of gods, not in thunder, but in a whisper. Tonight, you are a traveler, ascending the slopes of Mount Parnassus, drawn not by curiosity or spectacle, but by something quieter, a question that has lived inside you for longer than you can recall. And there, near the place where the earth breathes and the laurel trees sway in sacred rhythm, you will come to stand before the Oracle of Delphi. But this is not a story of prophecy shouted in frenzy. This is the tale of stillness, of ritual, of sacred breath and soft echo. Let the stars guide you. Let the scent of warm stone and crushed bay leaves settle in your mind, and let your body grow heavy as we begin. You find yourself on the winding path just as night begins to lift. The sky above you is the softest shade of blue-gray, neither night nor day, but a sacred threshold. Before you rise the twin cliffs known as the Phaedriades, the Shining Ones, and this morning they live up to their name. As the first light of dawn touches the stone, it spills across the jagged surfaces like honey poured from a high place, glowing golden at the tips and slowly sliding down into the creases of the rock. The air is cold here, a mountain cold, crisp and wild, tinged with the faintest trace of ash from distant hearths and the earthy scent of dew settling on thyme and moss. You pause, not for breath, but because the sight is so impossibly still. It feels sacred. You are not the first to stand here, gazing at this light, and you will not be the last. The cliffs do not speak, but they do not need to. Their silence is older than empire, older than words. They rise beside you like two ancient sentinels, watching your steps and asking nothing, except perhaps that you notice. As you begin to walk again, your steps slow, more careful now. You are no longer just climbing a path. You are entering a sacred rhythm, marked by light and stone and breath, and the journey has only just begun. The path carries you upward, not steeply, but with a kind of gentle insistence, as if the earth itself were urging you forward, softly, patiently. The sun, now a little higher, sends slanting shafts of warm light through the trees. You walk beneath branches of laurel, their leaves dark and glossy with morning moisture, still trembling faintly from the night's cool breath. And as you pass beneath them, you breathe in the scent. It is deep and green, not sweet, but sharp and sacred, the smell of leaves crushed between the fingers of temple priests, the scent of wreaths wound in quiet reverence, the perfume of offerings laid beside ancient altars. There is something ancient in it, a memory held in the oils of the leaves, a language of the land itself. You pause beside one of the trees, your fingers brushing the wet leaves, feeling the coolness seep into your skin. A single drop falls from above, landing upon your wrist like a silent blessing. And for a moment, you imagine how many have walked this path before you, how many pilgrims, barefoot and hopeful, breathed this same scent and felt their hearts quiet. A breeze moves through the grove, light unhurried. The leaves rustle, not with noise, but with music. And in that rustling, you think you can hear a voice, not one you recognize, not one that speaks in words, but a voice all the same. You close your eyes, and for a breath, you let yourself drift within that sound, like water over stone, like wind over pages. The voice of the laurel, gentle and wise. And when you open your eyes again, you are not in a hurry. There is time. There is always time here. The path bends gently, and ahead you hear it, long before you see it. The quiet murmur of water flowing over stone, soft, eternal. You follow the sound, your steps hushed now by the moss beneath your feet. The air grows cooler as you descend a short, shaded path, worn smooth by centuries of pilgrim footsteps. And then you see it, the Castalian spring. It emerges from a narrow cleft in the rock, a silver ribbon tumbling gracefully into a shallow basin carved by hand, smoothed by time. The spring is small, almost modest, but there is nothing ordinary about it. The water here is said to be sacred, gifted by the gods, blessed by Apollo, and touched by countless souls who came here seeking clarity, or perhaps forgiveness. You kneel at the edge. Stone meets your knees, cool and damp, and as you cup your hands and drink, the taste is unlike any other. It is crisp, clear, alive. There is a brightness to it, as though the water carries light within it. No sweetness, but purity, as if every drop had been filtered through ancient memory. You close your eyes. The spring speaks, not with words, but with coolness down your throat, and the way your breath deepens after. It washes something from you, not dirt, but a kind of weight you hadn't known you were carrying. You touch the stone beside the basin. You feel the grooves carved by hands long vanished, and you are not alone here. Though no one stands beside you, you feel their presence, pilgrims, seekers, oracles in waiting, and the spring flows on, never hurried, never still, a reminder that wisdom often arrives not as fire or thunder, but as water, cool and quiet, offering its truth to those who pause long enough to taste it. You rise slowly from the spring, refreshed and somehow changed, not in a way you can name, but in the way your breath feels deeper and your thoughts more still. You return to the path, now known as the Sacred Way. It winds gently up toward the Temple of Apollo, flanked on either side by weathered stones, fallen columns, and the graceful remnants of once proud treasuries, each a silent offering from cities long since turned to dust. Your feet fall softly upon the ground, smooth ancient stone, polished by the passing of countless souls, and each step you take seems to echo faintly between the rising walls and broken plinths. Not a loud echo, not jarring, but soft, distant, like a memory that returns when the heart is quiet enough to hear it. You walk slowly. There is no rush here. The Sacred Way is not merely a road. It is a passage between worlds, between the known and the unknowable, between the self you were and the self you are becoming. The sunlight dances on the stones, and small wildflowers peek from the cracks. A soft breeze carries the scent of distant pine and dusty marble, mixed with the faded perfume of old prayers. As you walk, you begin to notice the details, the gentle curve of an ionic column, the faint inscriptions worn thin by time, the offering bowls, empty now, but still waiting, patiently, for something precious to be placed inside. You hear your own footsteps echoing, not just around you, but within you. And in that rhythm, a quiet wisdom stirs, that in every step taken with intention is a kind of offering. And so you continue, one foot, then the other, each sound like a soft chime in a temple no longer seen, but still very much felt. You pause at a quiet turn in the path, where a low stone altar rests, its surface smooth from centuries of touch. Beside it, nestled in the gentle curve of the wall, is a worn niche where pilgrims once left their offerings. And though time has claimed most of them, a few remain, a carved shell, a delicate braid of olive twine, a small figurine of a hare, its surface kissed by the weather and softened by age. You reach into the satchel at your side. Inside, wrapped in linen, is your own offering. It is nothing grand, not a golden coin, nor a rare jewel, but it is something real, something that carries your intention, a simple carved token, smooth, oval, the shape of a river stone, etched faintly with a mark only you know, a memory or a hope. You hold it in your palm. It is cool against your skin and surprisingly heavy for its size. Not the weight of the stone itself, but the quiet gravity of meaning. You close your fingers around it. For a moment, your eyes drift shut, and you breathe. The world narrows, all noise softens, and it is just you and the offering. When you place it down, gently, reverently, there is no grand sound, no celestial sign, only a feeling, like settling silt in a still pond, or the last note of a hymn fading into air. You linger a moment longer, your fingertips brushing the cold stone, and then you rise, lighter somehow. The journey calls you forward, but part of you now rests here, held quietly in the weight of a small, meaningful gift. The sacred way narrows, its stones leading you toward the heart of Delphi. The temple rises slowly before you, not all at once, but in quiet glimpses through the olive branches, each step revealing a little more of its pale columns, its golden roofline catching the sun like a silent flame. And as you approach, you begin to see the gentle rhythm of lives woven into this sacred place. The temple attendants are already moving, soft-footed, serene, their robes whispering against the stone as they carry out the rituals of the morning. They are not hurried. Their pace is not born of urgency, but of devotion, each action performed not just with the hands, but with the heart. One sweeps the temple threshold with a branch of dried thyme, its scent mingling with the air, rich and earthy. Another kneels beside a bronze bowl, kindling a small fire with practiced ease, its smoke rising in delicate coils, sweet with the burn of frankincense and myrrh. Further in, you glimpse a figure lighting lamps, one by one, with a steady flame held aloft, each wick catching and glowing softly, like stars awakening in the morning shadows. Their faces are calm, not distant, but inward, as if listening not to the noise of the world, but to something deeper beneath it. You do not speak, no one does. The temple has its own language, and it is spoken in silence, in gesture, in the slow choreography of care. A soft chime rings somewhere within, not loud, but clear, like water falling onto bronze. The attendants pause, only briefly, as though acknowledging something unseen. Then the work resumes, and you watch, rooted in stillness. In their devotion, you sense not duty, but love. The kind of love that asks nothing in return, except to be near the sacred. You wonder what it must be like to wake each day to this quiet rhythm, this life shaped not by chaos, but by reverence. And as the scent of herbs and flame rises into the golden light, you carry that question with you, tucked gently between your breaths. Now, you are invited deeper, past the colonnades, past the golden reliefs of Apollo's triumph, beyond the soft shimmer of incense and the hum of hymns, there lies a doorway, low, narrow, deliberately humble. This is the passage into the Adyton, the sacred heart of the temple, where only a few may tread. You are not alone here. A temple attendant walks beside you, a gentle presence. They say nothing, but their movements speak a language as old as stone and breath. In their hands, they carry small things: a folded cloth of undyed wool, a clay vessel filled with spring water, a sprig of laurel freshly cut, still glistening with dew. The steps into the sanctum are worn smooth, not by crowds, but by reverence. Each footfall feels quieter than the last. The world above seems to fade until all that remains is the hush of sacred air held in stone. The chamber is dim. Here, light does not blaze. It flickers, soft and golden, reflected from a few small oil lamps, their flames swaying gently in the breathless dark. The air smells of earth, of laurel smoke, of cool mineral stone. Time thickens in this place. You watch as the attendant begins their task. They kneel upon the ground, laying the woolen cloth across a carved stone platform. Their hands move slowly, as though they are not simply preparing a space, but welcoming something unseen into it. The laurel is placed next, arranged with quiet intention. Its leaves shimmer faintly in the lamplight, alive even in stillness. Then, with great care, the vessel of spring water is poured into a basin carved into the floor. Its sound is soft, barely a whisper, but it echoes through the bones of the stone like a distant memory being remembered. No voice is raised, no proclamation made, and yet you feel it. The sanctum is ready, not for spectacle, but for silence, for inward seeking, for listening, not to the world, but to the quiet beyond it. You are not asked to understand, only to be present, and so you stand beside the attendant, watching the final flame catch, watching the chamber come alive with the stillness of things truly sacred. You return to the outer chamber, stepping once more into a world touched by golden light. But something within you has changed, as though a thread, long silent, has begun to hum softly, pulling you deeper into the fabric of this place. The temple has awakened, and with it, a sound begins to rise, low at first, barely more than breath, but slowly, steadily, it gathers. The hymn, a sacred offering of voice sent skyward to greet the morning sun and the God who rides it. You turn toward the sound. The temple attendants have gathered now, their robes brushing gently against their ankles, their eyes half closed, faces lifted toward the east. And from their lips pours a melody not meant for performance, but for presence. The hymn does not seek to dazzle, it does not rise in triumph. It weaves like smoke through olive branches, like light over still water. Each note is a breath, each word a pebble dropped into a sacred well. You do not understand the language, not fully. The words are ancient, older than your tongue, older even than the stones. But the feeling that you understand, it speaks of dawn and golden lyres, of prophecy whispered in wind and leaf, of a God who is distant and yet somehow within. The harmonies wrap around the pillars, float past the offerings, and settle into your chest like warmth returning to cold hands. A child among the attendants begins to sing, her voice thin, pure, carried gently on the breath of those around her. No one corrects her, no one overshadows. She is simply part of the whole, as all voices are. And as the hymn swells, you feel it lift you, not upward, but inward, to that quiet place you carry with you always, the place where knowing dwells without words. When the final note fades, there is no applause, only silence. And that silence, strangely, is even more beautiful than the song. Now the hymn has ended. The temple stirs with motion again, soft footsteps echoing off the stone, hands adjusting folds of cloth, low voices murmuring in tones too quiet to catch. But you remain still, carried inward by the quiet echo of something sacred just beyond the grasp of thought. And in that stillness, you feel it, a flicker, a warmth beneath the ribs, a soft, persistent longing. It is not loud, it does not demand, but it is there, your reason for coming, this hope you carry. It is yours alone. No one asked you to name it, and perhaps you couldn't, even if they did. It is not something you could speak aloud without it losing its shape. It is too delicate for that, too soft around the edges. But here, among the laurel and stone, beneath the gaze of a god carved in gold, it stirs. Maybe it is a question, long unanswered, or a grief, quietly born. Maybe it is a wish for someone else, someone far away, whose face drifts into your mind like mist. Or perhaps it is the hope to know yourself more truly than you ever have. You lower your eyes, your hand comes to rest against your chest, where your heart beats, steady as the earth. You do not need to speak the hope aloud. You simply feel it, the warmth of it, the ache, the strange, peaceful weight of desire that does not wound, but humbles. Others pass by you, pilgrims like yourself. Each one carries a story, a question, a private offering no less sacred than the incense in the air. You are not alone, and yet your hope remains wholly yours, intact, unspoken, held gently in the stillness of your soul. You let it remain there, safe and quiet, as you rise and continue your path. The path leads you onward, gently curving along the sacred way as the morning warms. The stones beneath your feet still hold the memory of night, cool and smooth, like polished bone, and then you come upon it, the treasury, not a vault of coins and greed, but a shrine of gratitude built by those who came before. It rises with quiet grandeur, white marble, etched with the marks of time, its edges softened by wind and reverence. You pause before its entrance. Its columns cast long, angled shadows that sway gently across the ground like the hems of priestly robes. Above you, carved friezes whisper stories of battles long stilled, of heroes now folded into myth. But there is no boast in the stone, only memory. You step closer, drawn not by gold, but by the silence that surrounds it. The doorway is small. It invites humility. You do not enter, you only stand before it, as many have before you. This is a place for stillness. The offerings left within are not for show. They are tokens of thanks, left by those whose prayers were answered, or whose questions were at last accepted without answer. You feel a wind pass over you, not harsh, but steady. It carries the faintest scent of olive wood and sun-warmed dust. You close your eyes for a moment, and in the hush, you feel them near. The others, the ones who stood where you now stand, their hopes, their fears, their small, trembling faith. And for a brief moment, it is as if time itself pauses to bow its head in shared reverence. You breathe in slowly. You exhale even slower, and in that breath, the world softens. You have no offering of gold or silver, but you give something else, your stillness, your listening, your presence, and perhaps that is enough. You walk a little farther, past the hush of the treasury, and toward the waiting place, where those who seek answers gather in quiet patience. Here, beneath the open sky and between the stone pillars, a kind of order forms, not written, not spoken, but deeply felt. A hierarchy, soft as shadow, firm as mountain roots. You notice it not in commands or gestures, but in glances, the way eyes flicker and then lower, in posture, some sitting cross-legged, some standing with arms folded in worn silk. In placement, those who carry more coin seem to find the shade. The rest find the sun. But none complain. There is no quarrel here, only a shared understanding that status, even in silence, has its voice. You sit beneath a cypress tree, its bark warm to the touch. To your left, a weathered man in a chiton faded by years. His hands are stained with dye, a weaver, perhaps. He clutches a small wooden token. His eyes do not wander. To your right, a young woman in fine sandals. A servant stands behind her, fanning the air with a palm leaf. She gazes forward, expression unreadable, but the corners of her mouth quiver, as though bracing against something unnamed. Farther still, a priest walks among the waiting, not with haste, but with ceremony. He does not speak. He only observes. You realize then that in this place time stretches and dignity wears many robes. Some carry their hopes in silence, others in gold, but all have come here for the same thing, and beneath the laurel trees, all are equal in the gaze of the unseen. You shift slightly, feeling the cool earth beneath you. Your fingers brush a fallen leaf, its veins delicate as a whisper. The voices around you murmur softly, not loud enough to disturb, but present, like the rustle of dry grass in the wind. And above you, the sky remains vast and indifferent and patient, just as it has always been. You sit for a long time, unmoving, your breath matching the rhythm of the breeze. The quiet here is not complete silence. It is filled with layers, soft textures of sound woven together like threads in a tapestry. And slowly, you become aware of one particular thread, a murmur. It rises faintly from deeper within the sanctuary, past the gates where only the chosen may pass. It is not a chant, not a sermon, but a whisper, constant, low, as if the stone itself were speaking. Prayers, you cannot make out the words. They are too distant, too hushed like voices heard through water, but their tone, the tone, is unmistakable. It is the sound of yearning, of grief folded into ritual, of gratitude shaped by devotion. It is ancient and intimate and unchanging. Some voices tremble with age. Some are smooth as river-worn stone. Some carry a cadence passed from mother to daughter, father to son. And though you do not speak their prayers, you feel them, like the scent of myrrh carried on wind, settling gently in your lungs. Your eyes close, your head tilts back slightly. You allow the murmur to wrap around you, like a soft shawl drawn close on a cool evening. You think of your own unspoken words, the ones you might offer if given the chance. But for now, you need not speak. You only need to listen. Somewhere deep inside the sanctuary, a priest's sandal scuffs gently across marble. A strand of olive leaf shifts as a breeze slips through the colonnade. A bird cries far above, then falls silent. And still, the prayers continue, unseen, unheard in detail, but present, always present. You remain seated, still cradled by the hush of prayer, but slowly, a new awareness rises. It begins as a flicker, a shared glance between two strangers, a gesture repeated, a token touched, a pattern followed not by rule, but by memory. It is the quiet choreography of superstition. No one speaks of it, and yet everyone knows. The woman beside you touches the earth with her fingertips, then to her lips, before standing. A young boy, no older than 10, clutches a carved stone in his palm, murmuring words 3 times before tucking it away in the fold of his belt. Across the courtyard, an old man circles the base of a column, once, twice, then bows slightly to the east. These are not temple laws, not rites taught in marble halls. They are older than that, or perhaps newer, born in fear, in hope, in the private spaces between belief and doubt. You watch them one by one, and then, without thinking, you reach into your satchel. Your fingers find it, the small woven charm tied months ago by the wise woman in your village. She said it would protect your path. You never questioned her, nor do you now. You hold it between your fingers. The wool is soft, faintly scented with lavender and sage. You do not whisper, you do not kneel, but your heart shifts gently into stillness. And in that quiet moment, you understand. Superstition is not foolishness. It is a language spoken between souls when reason falters and the stars feel distant. It is the bridge between silence and meaning, between ritual and instinct. You meet the gaze of another pilgrim. They nod. You nod back. Nothing is said, but everything is understood. The sun has climbed higher now, spilling golden light over the white bones of the temple. You rise from your seat, stretching limbs softened by stillness, and wander without urgency, letting your steps guide you without thought. Eventually, you come to a quiet place, an alcove between two ancient walls, half in shadow, half in light. Here, you lower yourself to the ground once more and place your hands upon the stone, cool, smooth, steady. Your fingers rest flat, then press gently downward, as if to listen through touch. The stone does not move. It has no voice, and yet you feel something ancient beneath your palms. It is the same stone that bore the feet of thousands, of kings, of shepherds, of oracles. It has held grief and joy and secrets too deep for words. You run your hand along a small crack, not damage, but time's handwriting. The texture shifts slightly, from polished center to worn edge, from warmth where the sun touches to chill in the shaded groove. And you realize then, this temple, this sacred place, is not just above the earth. It is part of it. You place both hands flat now, spread wide, as if to anchor yourself, as if the pulse of the earth might echo back to you through the cold, through the stillness. Your breath slows again, your body quiets. You feel not just the stone, but the memory held within it. A chant long silenced, a footstep paused in fear, a single tear fallen and forgotten beneath a laurel branch. It is all here, and you are part of it now. A small part, but present, and that is enough. Your hands remain on the stone for a moment longer, and then, gently, you pull them back to your lap. You close your eyes, and slowly, softly, a dream rises from the quiet like mist from morning grass. It is not sharp. It has no firm edges, only feeling, shapes without names, colors that do not exist in daylight. But you remember, you were standing in a grove, moonlight pooling at your feet like silver water, laurel branches whispered above, though no wind moved them. And there a figure stood before you, not quite man, not quite shadow, not unkind. The figure raised one hand and pointed behind you. You turned, but the grove was empty. When you turned back, the figure had vanished. Only a single olive leaf remained, floating down, slowly, slowly, into your waiting palm. Even now, you can feel its weight, weightless, and yet meaningful. You open your eyes. The light has changed again. A cloud has passed across the sun, casting a gentle hush over the stone. You wonder, was it only a dream or a memory from some place deeper than memory? In this place, so close to the breath of the gods, dreams feel less like fiction and more like quiet messages left beneath your pillow. You take a slow breath and exhale even slower. The air is warm now, but a faint chill lingers at your back. You do not try to explain it. Some things are not meant for explanation. only for feeling, only for remembering. And so you rise once more, carrying the dream with you, like a stone in your pocket, smooth and silent, but present. The path curves gently, hugging the stone wall that borders the upper terrace of the sanctuary. You follow it, slowly, with no particular destination, only the rhythm of your steps and the warm pull of the sun. The stones beside you, weathered by centuries, glow golden in the afternoon light. They radiate heat, soft and comforting, like a fire no longer burning, but remembered by the hearth. And there, paused perfectly still, between two sunlit cracks, is a lizard. Small, green gold, motionless, its belly pressed to the sun-warmed stone, eyes blinking lazily, as if it too is dreaming of something beyond this world. You do not move, you only watch. Time slips sideways. You notice the texture of the wall, grains of quartz sparkling faintly, traces of ochre pigments long faded, bits of moss clinging where shade clings too. The lizard twitches once, a barely there flick of its tail, and still you do not move. There is a holiness in stillness, a kind of silent pact between observer and observed. The sun warms your face, your arms, your breath. You feel the stone at your back and the gentle heartbeat of the earth beneath your sandals. The lizard lifts its head, its eyes meet yours, or seem to, and then, with a quick dart, it vanishes into the narrow crevice between two ancient blocks, leaving behind only the memory of a moment shared without words. You remain still for a while longer, your hand resting on the sun-warmed stone, feeling the thrum of life that stirs quietly beneath all things. And then, softly, you continue on your way. Beyond the path, you find yourself drawn to a quiet patch of earth just outside the temple's shadow. There, growing wild and unguarded, are small sprigs of myrtle, delicate violets, a few fading poppies, and young bay leaves, soft and supple. You kneel, not out of reverence, but out of instinct. The soil is warm. It crumbles softly beneath your touch, fragrant with the faint breath of growing things. You begin to gather, not many, just a few. One bay leaf, still bright with spring green, a violet, its petals trembling in the breeze. 3 white daisies with golden hearts, each one chosen with care, not for beauty, but for feeling. Your fingers move slowly, twisting stems, tucking ends, weaving in the simple rhythm taught to you by someone long ago, perhaps a grandmother's hands, guiding your own, perhaps a memory you do not own, but carry nonetheless. The garland takes shape gently, no pattern, no perfection, only presence. It is not for offering, not for ceremony, it is for stillness, for the act itself. And in that act, you are reminded, even here, in this place of prophecy and grandeur, there is space for small creation. There is sacredness in simplicity. You tie the final knot with a strand of wild grass and hold the garland in both hands. Its scent is green and earthy, its texture rough yet tender. You place it beside you. You may leave it as a gift or take it with you as a remembrance. But for now, you simply let it be, let it rest, as you do. The wind rustles softly. Somewhere above, a dove coos from a shaded perch, and the world feels gentle again. You rise once more, the simple garland still warm from your hands. And as you walk, slower now, slower still, you feel a new pull, a subtle beckoning from below. It draws you toward the heart of the sanctuary, toward a place older than the marble columns, older even than the myths that cling to this mountainside. You descend, step by step, into the deeper chambers. The air grows cooler, heavier, as though the stone itself were breathing. You pass through an archway, half swallowed by shadow. There, beneath the temple floor, you feel it. A hush, then a faint, living sound. A soft exhale, a gentle hiss. The breath of the earth. It seeps through a narrow fissure in the stone beneath your feet. Invisible, but present. The scent that rides it is difficult to name. Not unpleasant, but strange. Sharp, mineral, with a trace of warmth like a hearth just extinguished. This, they say, is where the oracle sat. Above this hidden breath, enthroned in silence, her words rising not from her lips alone, but from the cavern below. You do not speak, you barely breathe. For a long moment, you only listen. The hiss is constant, yet faint, like the hush of wind through tall grass, or the distant whisper of waves in a shell. It is not loud, it is not fierce, and yet it fills the space with something deeper than sound. You close your eyes, let it move through you. Let it remind you that the world is always breathing, even in stillness, even in stone. You step deeper still, through a low archway, into a chamber where silence lives not as absence, but as presence. This is the Adyton, the innermost space, the hidden heart of the temple, the place where the Pythia once sat, alone, with the earth's breath rising at her feet, and the weight of questions settling around her like dust in still air. No windows, no echo, just a chamber of ancient stone, soaked in centuries of reverent silence. You pause at the threshold. Even now, long after the last oracle has whispered her final vision, the space remains thick with a listening stillness. You cross the worn threshold slowly, softly, as if not to disturb whatever remains. The stone beneath your feet is cool, cooler than it should be, as though time has pooled here, untouched by sunlight or season. You move toward the center. There is no throne now, no veil, no priest, only you and the silence. You sit, or rather, you allow yourself to be seated by the room itself, as if it has been waiting. The stillness embraces you, not cold, not empty, just deep, like the ocean floor, like the inside of a mountain, like a held breath before the first note of a hymn. You close your eyes, not to sleep, but to listen, not to dream, but to remember. And in that silence, you begin to hear things that are not sounds, the rhythm of your own breath, the slow beat of your heart, the memory of someone's voice long ago, a word you once heard but never understood. Here, there is no need for answers, only awareness. Here, the question is enough, and you let it echo gently, without demand, until even the question softens and dissolves, and all that remains is silence, alive, holding you. You do not speak, and yet something begins to arrive. Not a voice, not a vision, but a stillness even deeper than the one you first entered. A presence, soft, unseen, like a cloak of mist laying above gently across your shoulders. It does not announce itself. There are no words carved in fire, no thunder from above, no tremor in the stone beneath. Only a quiet knowing, like the way the sky changes just before the rain, or the way your breath catches before a long-forgotten name returns to you. It settles not in your ears, but behind them, not on your skin, but under it, as if truth, rather than arriving, had always been there and simply chose now to be known. You sit with it. You don't rush to name it. You let it breathe beside you. Let it find its shape. It might not be a command. It might not even be an answer, but it is real, and it is quiet. Somewhere in your chest, something softens. Somewhere in your spine, something straightens. You feel as though a page within you has turned itself. And though the words on it are still blurred, you trust that they are yours. No one else need hear them, not even you, not yet. The room holds you still, and for a long, slow moment, you are simply allowed to know what you now know. You rise, not because the moment ends, but because it has become part of you. You step back from the center of the Aditon, lighter, not with answers, but with peace. And the silence follows you, not as emptiness, but as quiet presence, a companion rather than a void. You return, slowly, through the winding passages of stone, each footfall lighter than the last, as though the silence of the Aditon still walks beside you, whispering comfort into the rhythm of your steps. And as you near the open air once more, you hear a murmur, soft voices woven together like threads in a tapestry. Not chanting, not ritual, but storytelling. A circle of priests, seated beneath a low arbor of olive branches, share an old tale in tones worn smooth by time. You linger at a distance, half hidden behind a marble pillar. They do not see you, but their words reach you as clearly as the breeze that rustles the trees. It is a tale of a youth who wandered far, seeking the voice of the gods in foreign lands, who crossed deserts and climbed jagged cliffs and asked questions to stars that would not answer. And in the end, the voice he sought was waiting for him, not in the thunder, not in a blaze of glory, but in the quiet of his own reflection beside a still pool. The priests do not speak with grandeur. There is no booming narration, no theatrical tone, only the gentle cadence of those who know the power of patience. Their hands are old, their robes simple. One runs a thumb along the rim of a clay cup as he speaks, his voice low and slow, like a lullaby for the soul. You listen, and as you do, you feel something ancient settling in your chest. A truth not unlike the one you touched in the Aditon, but now clothed in story, a vessel to carry it forward through time. This, too, is prophecy, not shouted, not carved in stone, but remembered and shared. As you watch, one priest laughs quietly, another sighs, a third closes his eyes and leans back against the olive tree, and for a moment you feel not like a visitor, but like someone returning to a place you once knew well. A hearth, a story, and voices in the dusk telling truths in the shape of tales. The voices of the priests fade, gentle as the last notes of a lullaby. You leave them behind with quiet gratitude, carrying the warmth of their tale like a flickering ember in your chest. As twilight deepens, you are guided not by sound, but by scent. A slow ribbon of fragrant smoke winds through the dusk, subtle and curling, inviting you onward. You follow it, step by step, to a small stone altar set just apart from the temple grounds. It is here that the final ritual awaits you, a purification, not by water, but by smoke. An attendant in a simple linen robe nods gently as you arrive. No words pass between you, only a glance, a gesture, an understanding. She reaches into a small, shallow bowl and lifts a bundle of dried bay leaves, twined with sage and a thread of red wool. With great care, she touches it to the flame of a terracotta lamp. The leaves crackle, curl, and bloom into tendrils of smoke, soft and silver, like the breath of the mountain itself given form. She walks slowly around you, tracing a circle, lifting the bundle high so that the smoke may pass over your head, your shoulders, your chest. The scent is sharp at first, green and resinous, with the faintest bitterness of wood smoke and thyme. Then it softens, becomes warm, soothing, as though the herbs carry the memory of sunlight caught in their leaves. You close your eyes and breathe it in, not deeply, just enough to let it touch something within you. This is not meant to erase, but to release, to mark the moment when your journey inward is complete, to prepare you for whatever comes next. You feel the smoke pass over your back, across your hands, and finally at your feet. The attendant completes the circle. She lowers the bouldering bundle, douses the flame in a bowl of sand, and bows her head. You return the gesture silently, and for a moment you both stand there, cloaked in the fading light, the last of the smoke rising like a veil between the day and the night to come. The smoke has faded. The stars begin to wake. Above you, the mountain deepens into shadow. Below, the valley stretches into velvet blue, and ahead, a final path worn smooth by centuries of quiet footsteps. You follow it slowly, soothed by the rhythm of your breath, held by the hush of twilight. At the path's end, set into the temple wall, you find it, the phrase, Gnothi Seafton, know thyself, 3 simple words, carved not in boast, but in restraint, not meant to shout, but to still. The stone around the inscription is worn, softened by wind and reverent touch. You place your fingers against it now, and feel the cool surface beneath your skin. The carving is shallow, yet it has endured. Its letters hum in the quiet, not as instruction, but invitation. You do not rush to define it. You do not ask it for answers. Instead, you stand with it, as if with an old friend, one who does not speak often, but whose presence holds gravity. You remember the chamber, the incense, the tale by the olive tree. You remember the hush just before the whisper came. And now, this phrase, so ancient, so still, it does not tell you what to do. It does not ask for obedience. It simply waits for you to see yourself, not through the eyes of others, not through the storms of the world, but through the steady flame of your own quiet truth. You trace the letters one last time, and in that moment, you do not feel alone. You feel accompanied by all those who stood here before you and all who will come after. Each one searching, each one pausing, each one learning, slowly, gently, to remember who they are. The moment passes, as all moments must, but it leaves behind a hush within you, not emptiness, but stillness. You step back from the inscribed stone, its wisdom lingering in your breath like the final notes of a melody you'll carry for the rest of your life. The sky above has darkened, stars emerge one by one, not hurried, but unshakably certain. And the mountain exhales again, its silence deeper than before. You begin your descent, not hurried, not reluctant, just present. The temple, now behind you, glows with a soft amber light. Torches flicker along its outer wall, casting shadows that dance like the robes of spirits passing through the veil of time. You pause at the last bend in the path, turning for one final look. There it stands, the sanctuary of Apollo, rising from the stones and soil like something half built by gods, half shaped by human hands. You take it in slowly, the fading light, the long columns still touched with gold, the breeze that stirs the olive trees nearby, their silver-green leaves whispering as they always have. And in this moment, the temple is no longer just a place. It is a memory, already forming even as you gaze upon it. A sanctuary you will carry within you like a hidden flame. You draw in a breath, the cool night air laced with hints of laurel and warm stone. Then you turn and continue down the path, feet brushing against the dry earth, the quiet rhythm of descent blending with the sounds of crickets and the far-off calling of a night bird. The temple remains, watching from above, but you are part of it now, not a visitor, but a thread in its long unfolding story. The path unwinds like a lullaby, and with each quiet step, you leave behind the heights of prophecy and descend into the cradle of rest. Stone becomes gravel, gravel gives way to dust, and the evening hush thickens like a woolen blanket drawn close against the world. Below the temple grounds, nestled among weathered trees and quiet courtyards, the pilgrim's hostel awaits you. Its walls are built from sun-bleached stone, warmed by the day, cooled by the dusk. The door is low, framed by ivy, and when you push it open, it creaks softly, not unwelcoming, but familiar. Inside, the world grows dim and kind. A single oil lamp glows on a small wooden table. Its flame flickers gently, painting the air with shadows that sway like dancers in slow motion. You are shown to a cot, simple but clean. A woolen blanket is folded neatly at its edge, and beside it rests a cup of water, still cool from the spring you drank from earlier. You sit. Let the silence settle around you like mist. Your hands unlace your sandals. Your body, weary but soothed, sinks onto the mattress, its straw stuffing softened by use and time. Through the small window above you, you can see a sliver of sky, ink dark, punctured with stars. Somewhere far above, the temple still keeps vigil, and further still, the constellations, those ever-returning companions, wheel in slow silence. You close your eyes, and when you do, the sounds come softly, the hush of the laurel trees outside, the faint chirping of insects in the walls, the rhythmic breath of another pilgrim already lost to sleep. You do not need to remember the words. You do not need to hold on to the images. They have folded into you the smoke, the stone, the whisper in the chamber, the phrase carved in time. They will remain settled within your dreams like pebbles in a still pool. And now, as your breath deepens, as your limbs release their final tension, you allow yourself to be held by the mountain, by the night, by the slow turning stars above. Sleep comes not as a stranger, but as an old friend. You greet it with a sigh and a gentle letting go. You have journeyed far, not through distance, but through depth. From the first golden light on the Phedriates rocks to the cool stone beneath your hands, you have wandered through whispers, rituals, and the silent wisdom of an ancient place. You have felt the earth's breath. You have heard the quiet prayers. You have stood before a truth not shouted, but softly shown. And now you rest. You are not simply a listener. You are part of this story now, a thread woven gently into the endless tapestry of time and wonder. If these journeys into the past bring you peace, if they help you drift into gentler dreams, consider subscribing to Lore and Lullaby for more tales to guide your slumber. Until we meet again, beneath another sky, in another age, rest well.